Programs regularly scheduled will not be seen at this time. Now, NBC Sports presents the Rockets and Knicks in Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Let's go out here and do this, baby. NBA World Championship, baby.
1, 2, 3, Rockets!
The Houston Rockets were a confident team after beating the Knicks in Game 1, partly because while Patrick Ewing had done his part, many of his teammates had not. But in Game 2, Ewing's burden was lifted.
Mason Jansen. Three-pointer for John Starks. Harper again with the steal. Harper with the pull-up. Yes.
Ewing saw contributions come from all directions, like 11-year veteran Derek Harper, picking a crucial moment to come through as he had so many times in his prime. Liberated now from what had become a basketball graveyard in Dallas, he knows this could be his last chance to win an NBA title. And how about the Ewing reinforcements? His teammates who so willingly took turns throwing their smaller bodies at 7-foot-tall Akeem Olajuwon. Olajuwon just happens to be the league's most valuable player. But the Knicks hung in until finally wearing him down, winning the battle and the game. Tonight, the Knicks will try it again, this time with 19,763 on their side. Game 3 is next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1994 NBA Finals. Tonight, Game 3 between the Houston Rockets and the New York Knicks.
For the first time in 21 years, the NBA Finals have come back to Madison Square Garden, site of some of the most stirring moments in sports history. But never has this building, and rarely if ever has any sports building, had a week like the one lined up for the next several days at the Garden. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Tonight, Game 3 of the Knicks and the Rockets. On Tuesday, the NHL will engrave the Stanley Cup with the name of its new champion in a winner-take-all Game 7. And if either the Knicks or the Rockets can somehow sweep the next 3 in the NBA's 2-3-2 format, then the NBA will crown its new champion here Friday night. After the Knicks' 91-83 win at the Summit in Game 2, Rudy Tomjanovich worried aloud that New York had an opportunity to close out this series on its home floor. The Knicks, after all, are 9-1 at the Garden this postseason. But there has been something about this 2-3-2 format or some cosmic force at work that has stood home court advantage on its head for the last several NBA Finals. Since 1989, when the Pistons swept the Lakers, the road team is 19-9 in the finals. Even more astoundingly, the team playing on the road for the middle 3 games is 12-2 during this same 5-year period. So what a set of 3 games it figures to be on this floor. And what a week in New York. Ewing and Olajuwon, Messier and Boré, Marvin Matt. Let's go to him courtside. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, and Pavel Boré was asking for you just the other day. Coming into this series, most of the attention dealt with the matchup between Akeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing, and over the first 2 games, Matt, they have played to a standstill of significance, the manner in which the Knicks have reacted to Olajuwon, with many different looks over the first 2 games. Here's the breakdown when Patrick Ewing goes head up against Akeem. He's hit 9 of 20 from the field. When the help has come over the 2 games, he's 2 of 5. Anthony Mason's strength has bothered Olajuwon. Now, this has been a major factor. Charles Oakley has faced him only briefly, and the same for Charles Smith and Herb Williams. In effect, the Knicks have done a very good job against Hakeem Olajuwon over the first 2 games of the series.
And Hakeem Olajuwon hasn't even shown his MVP form yet in this series, and he's still scoring close to 27 points a game. But as you saw, Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason are taking turns guarding him and wearing him down, so when crunch time comes, Olajuwon is just 1 for 8 in the 2 fourth quarters. And defensive plays like Patrick Ewing's block from behind and Anthony Mason's reach-in steal are why this series is all even. But this does not all rest on Hakeem Olajuwon's shoulders. The Houston backcourt has to do a much better job of getting him the basketball.
Yes, the Rockets feel they must get better play at the point guard position. In Game 2 Friday night in Houston, the Knicks, sparked by Derek Harper, have the decisive advantage at point guard.
Well, Patrick Ewing and many others said that this was Derek Harper's finest all-round game as a New York Knick. And look at this, 18 points, 7 assists, and throw in 4 for 6 in three-pointers. And Derek Harper dominated the point guard matchup because he constantly hounded and pressured the Houston Rocket backcourt. And here he picks off 2 dribbles as he kept the Rocket guards from getting into their offense. And Marv, Derek Harper's defensive aggressiveness is a given. Now, if he can give the New York Knicks some offensive punch as well, the Rockets will have a serious problem.
So the scene has shifted back to Madison Square Garden in New York. When we come back, Game 3 of this best of 7, and the Garden will be rocking for the introduction of the lineup.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Trad. Get out of the old, get into the cold. By McDonald's, official restaurant of World Cup USA 94. And by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right.
Back at Madison Square Garden in New York, where the Knicks have won 9 of 10 at home in the postseason, losing only Game 5 of the Indiana series here at the Garden. That's the game that saw Reggie Miller breaking out for 25 points in the 4th quarter. Houston has done well on the road in the playoffs, 4 up and 3 down. And we are now set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Let's join with Mike Walshevsky.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight's Game 3 of the 1994 NBA Finals features the Houston Rockets and your New York Knicks. Here are tonight's starting lineups. First for Houston, at guard at 6'4" from Florida, number 11, Vernon Maxwell. Guard at 6'3" from North Carolina, number 30, Kenny Smith. And forward at 6'10" from Alabama, number 25, Robert Horry. And forward at 6'10" from Providence, number 33, Otis Thorpe. And at center at 7 feet from the University of Houston, number 34, Hakeem Olajuwon. The trainer is Ray Melchior, assistant coaches Carol Dawson, Bill Berry, and Larry Smith, and the head coach, Rudy Tomjanovich. wonders, the assistant trainer, Tim Walsh, assistant coaches, Dick Harder and Chip Van Gundy, and the head coach of the Knicks, Pat Riley.
All right, for more on the Knicks and the Rockets, we have reports from Ahmad Rashad and Hannah Storm. First, this from Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I was just talking to Anthony Mason just before the game on the wonderful job he did on Hakeem Olajuwon. He says that Olajuwon is a player that likes to get into comfort zones, so he tries to keep him out of those comfort zones. Also, he says Olajuwon is a rhythm player, so anything that he can do to keep him out of his rhythm, he tries to do that. He realizes he's not going to hold him to zero, but if he can get some assists from his guards, keeping ball pressure, and not allowing the easy access pass into Olajuwon when he's in the post, he says he can do a fine job on him. Now, for the Rockets, let's go down to Hannah.
Thanks, Ahmad. The Rockets' Kenny Smith has dreamt of playing for a championship here in the Garden since he was a tiny boy growing up in Queens. But the former star at Archbishop Malloy High School here in New York is struggling in this series. The starting point guard is only 2 for 10 shooting. He didn't even play the last 15 minutes of Game 2. He told me he knows he has to step it up in order for the Rockets to win. He plans to be more aggressive offensively and take more shots. But one of his teammates confided in me that Kenny's confidence is shot. He said that the Rockets have been giving Kenny pep talks over the last 2 days, and they can only hope that a return home here to New York will inspire him to play better. Marv?
Thank you, Hannah. Yes, Kenny Smith coming off an excellent Western Conference Final Series against John Stockton and Utah. Game 3s of a series, Knicks have lost 7 straight, including Game 3 against Indiana, Game 3 against Chicago, Game 3 against the Nets. As we trace back the playoff run, the official, Jake O'Donnell, Jess Kersey, and Bill Oates. And it's controlled by Houston. Maxwell for Ori, who's picked up on a switch by Starks. Ori got the step, and a foul is called. Jess Kersey calling it on Starks, who got caught on the switch against the taller Ori.
And you saw John Starks trying to point to Charles Smith to pick up his man, and as he turned his head, that enabled the quick step of Robert Ori to get to the basket, as all of the Knicks went the wrong way on the tip and a little bit lazy getting back into their defensive end. That's not the way you want to start a ball game.
Robert Ori, #1 draft pick last season, solid rookie year, has played extremely well after the trade that did not take place, the near trade with the Detroit Pistons. And the Rockets up 2-0. Kenny Smith pressing Derek Harper. Double team of Ewing right at the starters. Harper for 3, and back comes Smith. Finds Maxwell. Harper with the save, but he handed it to Ori. Smith, who was stepping on the line, so that was a 2-point attempt. We're just underway at the Garden. Rockets with a 2-0 lead. Again, the double team. Knicks swing it well. Ewing. Rebounded by Otis Thorpe. Nice delivery for Smith. The shot altered with the presence of Ewing, and Olajuwon lost it to Oakley. This time some pressure. Ori came out. Oakley's been hitting the outside shot right throughout.
A little semi-fast break for the Knicks. All of the Houston Rocket defense kind of just melted towards the basket. That left the trailer Oakley wide open.
And the Knicks are starting out with Ewing going head up on Olajuwon. That is a 3-pointer. Robert Ori, who has the good touch from long range, has given the Rockets a 5-2 lead.
That's his 5th 3-pointer of this series in 14 attempts.
Houston Rockets have won only 2 games here at Madison Square Garden since 1986. They did win back in early December. Starks try to match the Ori 3 and run down by Smith. That was a convincing win by the Rockets earlier this season. Nice play, and Otis Thorpe extends to a 7-2 lead on an early timeout taken by Pat Riley.
Well, miscommunication on the part of the New York defense, as Charles Oakley getting caught way up top there, and Charles Smith thought Ewing had him, and Ewing thought Charles Smith had him, and as it turns out, nobody fouled Otis Thorpe as he got an easy one.
This is a series that is tied at 1. Games 3, 4, and 5 here in New York. In Houston, in the opener, the Rockets won 85-78. Solid game for Otis Thorpe. Very poor second half for both clubs. And then on Friday night, with John Starks turning it from the bad shooting in Game 1, combination of Starks and Hopper led the way, and the Knicks won 91-83. The Knicks shooting a sizzling 52%. One of their better all-around games of the playoffs. Rockets off to the fast start. They're up 7-2 with 2 minutes gone by. Ewing coming up short, and it's rebounded by Olajuwon. Here comes Maxwell. Maxwell and Smith in the backcourt. Olajuwon, Thorpe, and Horry on the front line. Nice ball movement by the Rockets. Maxwell on the penetration. The tip missed by Thorpe. And it's hustled by Horry. Knocked away by Hopper. It will be Houston ball.
The Rockets really struggle in the offensive rebounding department. However, in this series, you wouldn't know it. They're getting a bunch. Otis Thorpe has 6 in each of the first 2 games.
Rare open shot for Olajuwon. Kenny Smith not allowing Derek Hopper any room. Here's Charles Smith. Rebounded by Horry and knocked out of bounds by Oakley.
And so far, the New York offense has consisted primarily of jump shots, and the only one they have gotten full is Charles Oakley. But so far, the Knicks not executing anything at all the way they did in Game 2.
Rockets hoping that Kenny Smith can get back into it offensively. Shot clock at 5. Maxwell, yes. Vernon Maxwell driving from right to left and converting on the floater for a 9-2 Houston advantage.
But initially we saw Akeem Olajuwon face up on Patrick Ewing, and the Rockets want him to try to take Ewing off the dribble. He couldn't get by Patrick, but he got the kick out to Maxwell.
Knicks have hit only 1 of 6 from the field. Oakley way off. And that brings a moan from the crowd. Dawson been hitting the jump shot. Maxwell giving the Rockets an 11-2 lead, and the Knicks call for time. This will be a full timeout. Vernon Maxwell with his second field goal. He's now 2 of 4, and he's given the Rockets a 9-point lead.
Maxwell breaking the defense down, getting into the lane, and here another fast break for Houston in the early going as they have imposed their fast break offense. This is the way the Rockets like to play.
Vernon Maxwell off to the quick start here in the early going. At all times, the question concerning Maxwell, can he play under control? We talked about that with the man they call Mad Max.
I felt like I've been pretty decent throughout the playoffs with my emotions or whatever, but I have to play with a lot of emotions because I feel like I'm the emotional leader on the ball club, and my teammates feed off my emotions, and but just staying within the team system, you know, with just to draw a line, you know, to cool it, know when to cool it, and know when to, you know, I can carry it, and I feel like I'm ready for that.
Ewing on the drive, went to the finger roll. Rockets now lead 11-4. Back to the subject of Vernon Maxwell. We talked about it during the Game 1 telecast. There was a team meeting prior to the start of the series in which Vernon Maxwell's teammates pleaded with him that he has to maintain control. Well, he was hit with a technical foul. Thorpe, that was back in Game 1. Loose ball foul against the Rockets. On Olajuwon.
Well, the Rockets using their trap here, which has been successful against the Knicks. This is the first time New York has scored against it. However, as shot clock was winding down, and all Ewing could do was try to break the defense down, and he did.
Hopper with the room. Ewing and Thorpe rebounds. Rockets 11. Knicks 4. Maxwell explodes off the dribble. Maxwell on the drive, and the Rockets now lead the Knicks 13-4. Vernon Maxwell trying to turn it from the 7-turnover game on Friday night in Houston, although he did score 20 points. Ewing from way out. Houston with a 13-6 lead.
Of the 36 field goals for the Knicks in Game 2, 28 assists on those plays. That's the first time the Knicks have gotten an assist play there. Vernon Maxwell looking to force the action as much as possible here as he crosses over on John Starks, getting to the basket as he figures to keep from turning it over 7 times. I'll just keep shooting.
Harper called for the offensive foul. Eric Harper called by Jake O'Donnell for that charge.
And just a mild complaint there by Derek. He has a habit of when he drives to the basket, he tries to initiate the contact either with his elbow or his shoulder just to try to ward the defender off or draw the foul. Jake's been watching him a lot of years.
The chant of defense. Horry went to the crossover to set up Elijah Watt. He's rejected by Ewing. Maxwell for 3. Rebound for. The pass broken up. The Rockets will maintain possession.
Watch Keem's right shoulder there. He tried to push off on Patrick Ewing to knock him back. Patrick too strong, not taking off that play, and able to swat the Elijah Watt into the jumper.
Rockets doing a better job off the offensive boards, and Horry allowed to penetrate. Now the Knicks try to take advantage on the transition. Starks all the way. John Starks streaking down court.
All as a result of the quick inbound pass, and really nothing the Rocket defense could do there. They were hustling back. John Starks is too fast.
Rockets 15, the Knicks 8. Now Oakley playing Elijah Watt. Horry fouled by Smith. Charles Oakley was doing a good job fronting Hakeem Olajuwon. Charles Smith called for the foul.
And this is just a foot race. Kenny Smith was there, but tried to cut in front of John Starks to get a spot at the ball. And Starks saw him coming all the way, able to finish off that play. So far in this first quarter, Robert Horry feels that he has that quick step ability, the ability to get by Charles Smith on the drive, and he's getting.
Horry is now 3 of 3 at the foul line. Charles Smith called for that foul, had a good game the other night. Let's go to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Mark, during that last time out, Pat Riley telling his team that they weren't playing people defensively. They weren't putting that pressure on and not getting back. The last thing he told them before they broke the huddle is that they got to get up and down the floor. They can't afford to walk it up. And as you just seen, Starks doing just that. Mark?
All right, Ahmad. Olajuwon jumping out on Starks. They double up on Oakley. Oakley takes it to the hoop and was rejected. Here's Harper for 3. Derek Harper coming off a very strong game, 7 of 11. 18 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, hitting on his first field goal. Rockets by 5. Horry fires up a 3, and it goes over the top of the backboard.
Aggressive defense by the New York Knicks on the pick-and-roll situation. They will trap just about every time they did it and forced really a tough shot by Robert Horry.
5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Smith is open. The Rockets 16, the Knicks 13.
And once again, John Starks creating off the dribble, getting into the lane and finding the open man. This is exactly what Pat Riley wants from John Starks in the playmaking department.
Olajuwon has been quiet thus far. Maxwell has not. That time, an air ball. Ewing with the save. And it will be New York ball.
And the crowd and Anthony Bonner react to the alert play by Patrick Ewing, who could not get the rebound cleanly here, fumbling it, and makes a smart heady play to knock it hard off the feet of Robert Horry.
Rockets by 3. Starks using the screen. Harper sets up Smith. Yes. Charles Smith with a second straight corner jump shot. It brings the Knicks within 1. Just following the good start by Houston. Maxwell with a beautiful spin goes to the reverse. Could not complete it. Ewing rebounds. Here comes Starks, putting the speed on. Set up Smith. His pass off the mark. And back comes Maxwell. Ewing is there. The pass broken up by Harper. Harper's pass stolen by Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon off the steal gives the Rockets an 18-15 lead.
And Derek Harper really upset with himself, trying to save that ball, put it up softly. And Patrick Patrick Ewing's direction, but the Rockets get the steal and the lay-in. Better just to let it go out of bounds in that setting.
Ewing going strong at Olajuwon. 3.5 remaining in the first quarter. And now Rudy Tomjanovich calls for time. It's the Rockets 18, the Knicks 15. Well, checking out the notables at courtside here at Madison Square Garden. Spike Lee in his usual seat. John McEnroe on hand, back from the French Open. Donald and Marla making the scene. Itzhak Perlman also here on a regular basis. John Thompson has been following the series right throughout. John Kennedy Jr. and Daryl Hannah. And Shaq has returned to the scene of the playoffs. Jack Nicholson in town for the premiere of his new motion picture Wolf, so I think we'll be seeing Jack during the course of this week. Rockets 18 and the Knicks 15 as we come up on 3 minutes remaining. In this opening quarter, Marv Albert, Matt Kukas, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm from the Garden starts off the steal, and Charles Smith with his third field goal. He has 6 points. Rockets now lead by 1.
All started on the nice defensive play by Patrick Ewing as Olajuwon didn't step out and reach for the ball. Patrick able to reach over the top and knock it loose.
Olajuwon off to the slow start. Olajuwon bottled up. Olajuwon lost the dribble off his foot. Now able to control. Here's Smith. Kenny Smith line drives it home. The Rockets would love to see Smith get off. He's been quiet in this series. Rockets lead by 3. Charles Smith has scored the Knicks' last 6 points. Both clubs remaining the same following that Houston timeout. Ewing tried the jump hook, rejected. And a traveling violation is called.
Patrick Ewing playing behind Olajuwon, and Akeem thinks he has him held off, but backing up a little bit and reaching with one hand enabled Patrick Ewing to start this fast break and the finish for Charles Smith.
Carl Herrera has checked in, replacing Otis Thorpe. Herrera had the outstanding game off the bench in the opener of this series, coming back from the dislocated right shoulder. Here's Herrera, rejected. Ewing jumping right out at it. Sam Cassell has also come on for Kenny Smith. Illegal defense call for the first time against the Knicks.
Well, Herrera obviously not seeing big number 33 right in his face as Patrick Ewing had it all away. You mentioned, Marv, Herrera, a good first game, only played 7 minutes in game 2. Reason being, he was all set to come in at the start of the 4th quarter, as he normally does, but that's when the Rockets got it going. We raced the 7-point lead of the New York Knicks, and the team was going so well at that point, Rudy decided to keep Herrera and Ellie out of the ballgame.
That block, number 2 for Ewing, had 6 the other night in game 2. Good hands by Smith to break it up. Olajuwon now being played by Mason, who just checked in, and a foul is called. Anthony Mason called for the hold. As we mentioned right at the start of the telecast, Anthony Mason has done a superb job defensively because of his strength against Olajuwon.
Well, they talk about the leverage and the low base, able to use that to hold, or at least get a body on Olajuwon, wear him down, push him out, but he's shorter than Olajuwon by about 4 or 5 inches and easy to throw over if there's no pressure on the ball.
Minute and a half remaining in this first quarter. Here's Olajuwon going to the spin shot and hits it. Gets the friendly roll. That's one of Akeem's favorite moves. That's an impossible shot to stop. Rockets lead by 5. Offer played by Cassell. Rudy Tomjanovich hearing some criticism, some second guessing for having Sam Cassell on the floor for such a long period in the 4th quarter.
Well, Mason has done his job at that point. Nothing he can do once Olajuwon gets into his spin and fadeaway. Charles Smith came over to try to help him. Nothing.
However, Sam Cassell during the playoffs has done a very good job down the stretch. Smith was fouled. Herrera was there, as was Olajuwon, as was Ori, And it's called on Herrera. Now Otis Thorpe will check back in. The last 2 years, Matt, fourth quarters for the Houston Rockets have been handled by either, for the most part, Scott Brooks, or, as it turns out, late this season and through the playoffs, Sam Cassell, rather than Kenny Smith. So, Rudy Tomjanovich, although, as I mentioned, took some criticism for staying with Cassell in that fourth quarter the other night, has usually benefited from that type of situation. Kenny Smith sat it out, although he got the playing time over the first 3 quarters, as you can see, but a different case in both games 1 and 2 come fourth quarter.
And in the first game, Kenny Smith made some big plays in the last couple of minutes in that ball game. But couple of the reasons why they don't like Kenny Smith out there is they're a little bit shaky defensively and not really sure of the kind of decisions he's going to make. But he had a big game in the Utah series where he was scoring so well that Rudy kept him out there the whole time. It's pretty much up to how Rudy feels and how the team is going to play. But you're right, it's going to be Cassell most of the time.
Horry got the step. Robert Horry with the enthusiastic celebration following that basket. He now has 10 points. Rockets by 6. Greg Anthony now operating at the point guard position against the rookie Sam Cassell. Starks back for Anthony. And a foul against Houston.
Robert Horry has had his way with Charles Smith, and at that time Charles Oakley, as his quick moves and being able to take the ball off the dribble, getting into the lane. And you can tell that the Houston Rocket coaches have talked to him about using his strengths, using his assets and his quickness, and take the ball to the basket. They have been after him ever since the non-trade to be more aggressive offensively, and when you're a good player like he is, it's nice to hear that.
Mason on the line, off the foul called on Thorpe. Anthony Mason has been the Dream's worst nightmare, although he gives 5 inches away to Hakeem Olajuwon, as we touched on earlier. But Mason has done most of his damage late in the game. It is a lane violation against the Knicks. So with a half-minute remaining, it will be Houston ball.
Look at on your right side as Charles Oakley stepping in way too soon on the little hitch move by Anthony Mason and being caught by referee Billy Oakes.
Rockets by 6 as this first quarter winds down. Maxwell with the step. Vernon Maxwell has had a terrific first quarter. 8 points for Maxwell. The Rockets lead 26-18. And we're final seconds of the first. Starks try to set up Smith. Leg block call on Maxwell. Turns out to be a good play because it stops the sequence, and we're down to 4 6/10 seconds remaining in the quarter.
And here's where the Knicks will either look for John Starks coming off or Derek Harper.
Starks played well by Maxwell. Anthony has to flick it. After 1 here at Madison Square Garden. Good quarter for the Houston Rockets. Robert Horry with a fast start. 3 of 4 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line. 10 points in all. It's the Rockets 26 and the Knicks 18. We'll be back with the second quarter right after these messages.
Ahmad Rashad back at Madison Square Garden. Now, championship fever has hit New York strong this spring. Not only the Knicks going for a championship, but also the Rangers. Now, on Tuesday night, the basketball nets will be removed and be replaced by these hockey nets. Now, a lot of people talk about the drought for the Knicks having not won a championship in 21 years. Well, when you talk about a drought, the Rangers have not won a championship in 54 years. There are not many people that remember that championship except for our own Marv Albert, who was there to cover the game. Marv?
That's pretty funny, Ahmad, but my grandparents have told me about it on many an occasion. Should be pointed out in the final minutes of Game 2 of the Indiana series here at the Garden, there was a spontaneous chant of "Let's Go Rangers" that broke out that the night after the double overtime win by the Rangers over the New Jersey Devils, advancing the Rangers to the Stanley Cup final. Offensive foul called on Mario Elie, New York City product, who just checked in. Second quarter is just underway. Rockets with an 8-point lead.
And Mario out of control here, trying to make some happen on another Houston fast break, but running into the John Starks.
Mason try to post up. And a reach-in foul is called. He was double-teamed by the combination of Herrera and Cassell. And it's on Cassell. Oakley's pass nearly picked off. Starks for three. And rebounded by Ori. Ups it down. Here's Ellie. The basket would have counted, but he will go to the line. Mason picks up his second.
Anytime you have a long jump shot in the corner from one of your guards, it's going to be a difficult transition defense situation. And Anthony Mason was just kind of playing center field back there instead of sprinting back and getting back to the top of the key area. And that's what enabled Mario Ellie to get that breakaway opportunity as he's chomping at the bit to get something going so he can get some more playing time.
Back with the Knicks in the NBA Final. This is the second time ever the Knicks and the Rangers make the finals in the same year. No city has produced winners in the same year in both the NHL and the NBA. In 1972, the Knicks lost to the Lakers. The Rangers lost to the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup Final. The Knicks, as we mentioned earlier, last in the final 72-73. The Rangers prior to the season got to the finals in 1979 and lost to the Montreal Canadiens in 5. Here's Anthony on a fadeaway. 27-20, the Rockets with the lead. Anthony trying to steal from Cassell. Ori with Thorpe and Herrera up front. Cassell and Ellie in the backcourt. Shot clock at 5. Herrera. Gilbert Davis, who just checked in, ties it up.
Once again, the Knicks' excellent defense against pick-and-roll situations, making it very difficult. It should be a good situation for Houston because normally the Knicks will double-team and trap, and that creates openings as John Starks looks on. Oh, they changed the shot clock. There was 1 second on the shot clock. I don't know why I went back to 24.
Here's Hakeem Olajuwon replacing Robert Horry. Shot clock has been reset. Minute and a half gone by in the second. And Jake O'Donnell. Jake with the call that it will be rocket ball. Someone stepped in too quickly.
Charles Oakley stepping inside the circle. Keep an eye on Charles as he cuts right through there, and really it looked like he was outside the circle. The play should have been allowed to count.
Rockets by 7. In the matchup, Ewing against Olajuwon. Ellie for 3. Mario Ellie, who grew up in Upper Manhattan, attended Power Memorial High School. One of his JV teammates was Chris Mullen, who later transferred to another school. Ellie went on to Star Division II American International and was drafted in the 7th round by the Bucks in 1985, and he has made the rounds since then. The Rockets have opened up a 10-point lead. It is their biggest of the game. Battle between Ewing and Olajuwon. Here's Olajuwon. Yes. Hakeem Olajuwon with his 3rd field goal. He has 6. And it's Houston by 12.
And he just powered into Patrick Ewing, pushing him back into the lane to create that space for his fadeaway.
Now Mason operating against Herrera. Mason to the jump hook. Nice move by Anthony Mason. Rockets lead 32-22. Guarded by Davis. Here's Thorpe giving it up. Crowd wanted to travel. Herrera buries the jump shot. Hot shooting here by Houston, and they lead by 12.
Once again, the double team, but this time the Rockets read it very well. Saw the open spaces and a nice pass by Otis Thorpe to the open Carl Herrera.
You see the run, 17-5. They've hit their last 6 shots. Mason with an air ball handled by Ewing. And Anthony Mason will say, well, that's actually a lead pass, and he would like the assist.
Well, he can say that. all that matters is for the Knicks is that they got the 2 points.
10-point lead for the Rockets. Good look there from Cassell. Ellie was stopped. Last touch by the Knicks, and a timeout is called with 8 minutes and 22 seconds to go in the second quarter. The Rockets 14 of 28, shooting 50% for the night.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by new Ice Brewed Ice Draft from Budweiser. Taste the future of draft beer. By Speed Stick Deodorant and Speed Stick Antiperspirant, the #1 for movers and shakers. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
The marquee matchup in this series, Hakeem Olajuwon going up against Patrick Ewing. A rivalry that dates back to 1984 when Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas beat Phi Slama Jama of the University of Houston for the NCAA title. Here they are going at it for the NBA championship. We talked with Hakeem about Patrick Ewing.
Really admire his play, his talent since college, because he's a true center. Especially when he was in college, how he plugs in the middle with both hands up in the middle. And most of the big men now play defense with their hands down. Just Patrick is always his hands up, covering. I mean, he looks like just like a tree up there. So it creates a lot of problem in the middle. So he's a true center.
And I think Hakeem likes it when that true center plays behind him. When you saw them jockeying for position, Hakeem wanting to keep Patrick Ewing behind, because then the Rockets can get some good shots. When it goes into Olajuwon, if a double team comes, he can find the open man, and that's what's been happening during this 17-7 run by Houston.
5 turnovers apiece now. Ewing cuts it to an 8-point Rocket lead. One stretch, it was 18-17 Houston, then they pulled away. Here's Cassell hitting the 3. Sam Cassell, the rookie from Florida State, extends to a 37-26 Houston lead. Anthony and Davis in the backcourt, Ewing, Mason, and Smith up front. Double team of Ewing. Illegal defense called for the first time against the Rockets.
Hakeem Olajuwon having Patrick Ewing behind. Ball goes inside to him, and then the trap down is going to leave that man wide open outside for a 3-pointer. And when the Knicks have to go down and double, these are the kind of open shots that the Rockets will get.
Open shot for Anthony. Smith on the back tap. Cassell ran it down and was run into by Anthony. So the foul is called on Greg Anthony. That is his first.
You see why Pat Riley wanted the strategy coming into this series of getting around and fronting Olajuwon, because it cuts down on the scoring opportunity of the other players out on the floor. Already, Ellie has a 3, and Sam Cassell with a 3-pointer.
Job off the boards. They lead by 11. 5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Pick and roll with Herrera, and a foul is called. Nice exchange between Ellie and Herrera.
There again, one of the very rare pick and roll situations. Most of the time it's pick and fade to a spot up situation, but this time Herrera taking it to the basket as he was sandwiched in there by both Patrick Ewing and Charles Smith, and able to get to the free throw line.
First Venezuelan to play in the NBA. He had been a standout on the Venezuelan national team. Played very well in the Barcelona Olympics. Did the job in game 1 off the bench. Provided a lift, 5 for 6, 10 points in his 20 minutes. Got only 7 minutes in game 2 on Friday night. Herrera making it back from the dislocated right shoulder. Tough guy for the Knicks to handle because of the size, the quickness. Big game against the Knicks earlier this season.
The Rockets using their half-court trap, which has been very effective against the Knicks. They have not scored very much at all in these few games.
More passing here on that sequence by Patrick Ewing. Rockets by 17. It is their biggest lead. Olajuwon getting in deep. Hustled down by Cassell, and they get the new 24. Crowd wanted to travel, but Horry held back. Cassell for three. Yes. Rockets swinging the ball so effectively, hitting the outside shots, and they have built a 42-26 lead on the Knicks with 6:17 remaining in the first half.
Well, this is how the Houston Rockets get open three-pointers when it goes into Olajuwon. All the Knicks defense is going to sack, and Hubert Davis protects the basket when he doesn't have to, and the ball will come outside to Mario Elie and open to the open Sam Cassell as Hubert Davis is way out of position.
Well, the crowd trying to get the Knicks back into it, an 8-0 run by the Rockets. And they have been hitting the shot from downtown, 4 of 7 from three-point land. Cassell has hit 2 out of 2. Rockets 5 for 7 overall from the field in the second quarter. Smith had it knocked away. Here's Harper. Loose ball foul is called. Yes, Kersey checking it out with the outside official, Jake O'Donnell, and it's called on Elie.
Well, the Rockets have had the best of it going after offensive rebounds and loose balls, but a good job this time by Charles Smith to get in on the offensive glass and drawing a hard hit from Mario Elie.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in the first half. Ewing. And rebounded by Herrera.
And not a good shot that time by Patrick. Looked like he just wanted to get it out of his hands, never really squared up to the basket. Knicks totally out of sync right now at the offensive end.
And Olajuwon off the mark with that turnaround shot. 16-point Houston lead. Starks saw the opening. John Starks pounding it to the basket. That knee looking better. He appears to be able to explode from time to time. Not able to do that earlier in the playoffs.
Well, John, while sitting on the bench, could see what some of the problems were for New York, especially in the half-court offense, not penetrating the defense. That time, John took advantage of it in the open floor to get to the hole.
Rockets lead by 14. Elie came up short. 24-second violation.
Well, John Starks trying to make something happen here in the open floor, keeping his head up, looking for a possible outlet pass, but found the little seam to get to the basket. And at the other end, just a terrific defensive play by Patrick Ewing as he was outguarding Olajuwon. And as Elie broke to the basket, he recovered to block that shot.
Harper. Rockets 42. And the Knicks 30. Eric Harper with a second field goal. He has 5. Rockets have had difficulty holding big leads during the course of the playoffs. Foul on Smith. That's his third. So Charles Smith in the early foul trouble.
Good pressure here out on the ball by Derek Harper, which enables Charles Smith to get up on the wing and possibly get in the passing lane, but he picks up his third personal there, so he's over-aggressive. Marv, you mentioned the kind of the energy and the emotion that gets the Houston Rockets these leads. Oftentimes is responsible for them losing the lead because they get themselves out of control.
They've led by as many as 16. It's now down to 12. Kenny Smith has returned, as has Vernon Maxwell. Here is Herrera from way out. Starks runs it down. Back comes Starks. Starks all the way. Oakley on the recovery. Down to a 10-point lead. And timeout called by the Rockets. Six straight points for the Knicks. 4:05 remaining in the half.
Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll be joined live by Dikembe Mutombo of the Denver Nuggets. He's become one of the league's top centers, and he'll talk talk about the play of Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. We'll get to that shortly, but right now, as you can hear, the crowd, which had been taken out of it just a few moments ago, is very much back into it. And we go back to Marv Albert and Matt Guokas. Marvelous.
All right, Bob. 4 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in this first half. Rockets led by as many as 16. Knicks cutting into that big lead. We mentioned that the Rockets have had some difficulties holding on to the big early leads during the playoffs.
Well, as I mentioned, Mark, oh my goodness, they threw the ball away right to Derek Harper.
Harper off the turnover, a careless inbounds play, and the Rockets now lead by 8.
Well, ever since Derek Harper and John Starks have come back off the bench, the pressure has intensified on the Rocket guards, and they are befuddled.
Bad play by Kenny Smith. Harper to Mason. 2 straight turnovers by Houston. And a travel call on Mason.
On this inbounds pass, Kenny Smith actually trips over the foot of his teammate Robert Horry and threw it to nobody in particular, and Harper saw it go and just outraced everybody to get the easy lay-in.
8 unanswered points by the Knicks. So they've cut that 16-point lead in half. 3:25 remaining in the first half. Smith and Maxwell on the backcourt. Olajuwon up front with Horry and Ford. Houston back to its starting lineup. Here is Olajuwon. Continues to struggle. Starks protecting the dribble. Starks and Harper at the guard. Ewing, Oakley, Mason up front. Shot clock at 8. Oakley for Ewing. Just did get a piece of the rim. Mason rejected, and back comes Maxwell. Patrick Ewing is 4 for 12 for 8 points. Hakeem Olajuwon 3 of 9 for 6 points. Olajuwon outplayed by Oakley. Goes to the spin and forces and hits. What a shot by Olajuwon. Again, the Knicks try to break on the Rockets. They've caught them a couple of times in transition. So that is it for the 8-0 run by the Knicks. Rockets now lead by 10 as we come up on 2 minutes to go in the half. Ewing with the jump hook. Oakley with the rebound. Gets it out to Ewing, who pops again. Terrific second effort by Charles Oakley. We have not seen much of that because he's bothered by an injured ankle. And we have seen him for the most part outside.
Well, that's part of it, but also Otis Thorpe does a terrific job on the defensive boards, plus keeping his body on a guy like Oakley.
Another Houston turnover. Harper for 3. Back comes Maxwell. And pass again. Recovered by Olajuwon, then batted away. Horry from the floor throwing to Olajuwon on the floor. Olajuwon is fouled, held by Oakley. What a wild sequence.
Well, Hakeem Olajuwon picked up by Oakley on a switch here, and what Hakeem has been told by the coaches to do different things against the different people. They want him to beat a guy like Oakley off the dribble as he did there, as Charles Oakley hustles in and whips one back to Patrick Ewing, who has struggled on his 3 previous shot here. Nobody can get a handle on the basketball. Everybody diving on the floor for it. Derek Harper wanted to get it and try to call a timeout, as nobody for the Rockets can get things under control, as finally Maxwell and Horry settle things down ever so slightly as the foul's committed on Charles Oakley.
Olajuwon with his first trip to the line. The Rockets have led all the way. They're up by 8 with 1 minute and 20 remaining first half. And Hakeem getting the treatment from the Garden crowd. Getting 1 out of 2. The Rockets lead 45-36. Costas coming along at halftime with the Prudential halftime report. A talk with the Kempe Mutombo as Starks was fouled by Maxwell. Kempe Mutombo of the Denver Nuggets, close personal friend of Patrick Ewing, has been following this series closely. Vernon Maxwell called for his first, and John Starks will go to the line.
Well, Vernon Maxwell and John Starks have basically been canceling each other out as far as the statistics are concerned. 20 points for Maxwell in Game 2 and 19 for John Starks, both of them scoring 11 in Game 1. So, however, John Starks had a monster game in Game 2 in Houston to even this series up. And Maxwell trying to be aggressive there, which bailed out John Starks, who was out of control on that particular shot, just launching it towards the rim. Fortunate to go to the free throw line.
Houston now leads by 7, and Harper applying pressure on Smith. Maxwell got the step. Maxwell, spectacular drive, but could not put it down, and it will be Rockets ball. 54 seconds remaining in this first half. Game 4 of the series here at Madison Square Garden Wednesday night will be on hand starting 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and Game 5 Friday night from New York, also a 9 o'clock Eastern start. Series tied at 1. Down to 45 seconds remaining first half. Ford trying to help with the screen. Smith lays it off to Olajuwon. Ewing with the rebound. Starks on the run. For Mason. He blew the stuff. Saved by Harper.
Well, Robert Horry got under his feet there, and it looked like Mason was keeping his eye on him and forced him to lose concentration on that dunk shot.
15 seconds remaining of the half. Shot clock at 4. It's down to 2. Ewing. Ford, final seconds. Gets it down to Olajuwon. Oh, what a save by Olajuwon. And then Ewing with the rejection. A spectacular ending to the first half.
What a terrific effort by Patrick Ewing, who took that jump shot, not quite on the baseline, but a 45-degree, gets all the way back to somehow or other outrace that ball and catch up with Olajuwon's little hook to save the day for the New York Knicks at the end of the first half.
Fourth block of the half by Ewing. 12-3 run by the Knicks to end this first half.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Halftime at Madison Square Garden, the Rockets leading the Knicks 45-38 in Game 3 of the finals, but they had a 16-point lead. Knicks closed on a 12-3 run, and then at the buzzer, the Ewing rejection of Olajuwon, Ewing's 4th block of the half, has the Knicks feeling pretty good about themselves as they head into the locker room. Well, Bob Costas back in our perch, and no, this is not some sort of bizarre bi-network split-screen effect. This is the newest member of the NBC sports team, Greg Gumbel. That would not be a CBS Eye, but rather the NBC Peacock. Get used to it.
This is a revolving thing, and I hope not anyway. Thank you, Bob. It's nice to be here.
A chance for additional confusion. We might as well get this out of the way. Why in the world, with distinct and distinguished careers, you are still confused with Brian and he with you, I do not know.
Even coming into the Garden tonight, I had this urge to walk through the crowd yelling for Katie. You know, Katie, where are you, Katie? And people would go, oh, Dr. Jack Ramsey stopped me, and he said, Brian, how are you? No, not this time.
Additional confusion now with both of you at NBC wandering the halls.
It'll be fun, won't it?
You make your debut at the All-Star Game in Pittsburgh. You're going to host our baseball coverage and Baseball Night in America, among a lot of other assignments.
And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, if there will be a season, and you know all of the problems attendant to that, but ever hopeful, yeah, we look forward to it.
Can you submit in writing before I'm willing to welcome you your official position on realignment and wild card teams in the playoffs?
I'll give you my choice for realignment right now. How about if we divide each team into an East and a West, and just the champions of each division go on to the playoffs?
I'm not so sure about you anymore. Let's break you in here and let you give the folks the reminder.
A reminder about Game 4 of the finals. We'll have it for you right back here at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night, beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
This could lead to more days and nights off for me, which is not entirely bad. When we come back, we're joined live by Dikembe Mutombo.
That's after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So the Rockets leading the Knicks 45-38 in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Dikembe Mutombo, as you know, just finished his 3rd season in the NBA, and he has emerged now as a force, especially off his play in the postseason. Let's take a quick look. The startling upset of the Seattle Supersonics after being down 0-2. They win it in 5, and there is the jubilation, one of the most memorable scenes in all of sports this past year. Dikembe had 31 blocks in the 5-game series, and then after being down 0-3, they extend the heavily favored Utah Jazz to a 7th and deciding game before finally succumbing. So it was at this point that Dikembe Mutombo kind of burst through as a national figure, and he joins us now at Madison Square Garden. And before we get a comment from you, I want to give the folks a look at a quote of yours that appeared in Sports Illustrated just this past week, because it sums it up very well. I pull for Patrick because we share Georgetown, but I pull for Akeem because we share Africa. They both deserve it so much. They have both waited so long. And then you wax poetic. It's as if 2 men have been in the desert and they come upon 1 glass of water. There's only enough for one of them to drink. When you watch them, do you not wish there could be 2 glasses of water? But there is only one. So who do you pull for?
I'll tell you what, Bob, it's really hard for me right now to tell you who am I pulling for. I might say that I will pull for Patrick because I'm Georgetown alumni, big-time Warriors. And in Georgetown, we always believe that we have to keep the tradition, keep going. And I also am saying at the same time that I will pull for Akeem because he's from the Western Conference. It's been a long time that the Western Conference have won the championship. Maybe so, as Patrick who left me the ticket, I think I will pull for Patrick.
Akeem, of course, from Nigeria, yes. You from Zaire.
Yes.
So much of Africa, torn by strife and terrible heartache. But with the international popularity of basketball and international cable television, many people are able to follow the NBA. What does your success and Akeem's success mean to the people there?
I tell you what, it's just been a tremendous job that we have done here in America. Every time when I go to Africa, the people don't believe that we came from Africa and we are playing a professional basketball in America. And I think, I hope that we continue to do the same job that we are doing right now. Maybe it might inspire some of the young guys back in Africa, and they can follow our leadership and becoming a professional basketball one day.
Let's talk some pure basketball here. Analyze this first half, especially the pivot play between Akeem and Patrick.
I tell you what, I will give a lot of credit to Patrick because I don't know what to say, because these big men, I haven't seen Patrick running that fast and blocking so many shots as he's doing right now. Maybe since his rookie year or maybe his first 5 years in the NBA. But I think he's doing a great job, and Akeem is working really hard to stay in his game. But you got to remember one thing, Akeem is so fast. It must be one of the guys that have caused me so many problems since I've been in this league.
Do you play him straight up, or does Denver usually provide double coverage? Because the big story of the series is that the Knicks go with single coverage, Ewing about half the time, and the other half split between Smith, Mason, and Oakley.
In Denver, we never trying to double Akeem that much because I don't know, I don't want to give so much credit to myself. So many people have saying that I've been one of the top defenders, can defend Akeem really well. But I've been trying to do the best job as I can. But the way Akeem me the Knicks are playing Hakeem, I think I'm happy with. They're trying to front him, pushing him out of the post. I think they're doing a great job.
Tell us a little bit about the uncommon closeness that exists among all these Georgetown alums. Coach John Thompson was at a lot of the Denver games. Yes. Another former Hoya, Reggie Williams there. He goes to Charlotte's games to see Alonzo Mourning. He's here at the Garden with Patrick, and you work out with Ewing and Mourning in the summertime.
One thing we've been trying to maintain is that the close relationship, because it's like a tradition. When you come from Georgetown and you get your degrees, that moment that you have shared for the past 4 years with Coach Thompson, with all of the Georgetown alumni, it bring you back on the campus to work with the guys who have graduated before. That's why you see that we came today here to celebrate Patrick, give Patrick a lot of support and give him a lot of chance to win this series.
Dikembe, great to see you. Maybe, considering what happened in this postseason, the Nuggets can get back to this point or get to this point a year from now.
I tell you what, Bob, we have a great opportunity to be in the final this year. Even we was young, I think that we have played a great basketball. I hope that the next year we can come back, maybe do an excellent job, maybe go farther as we did this year.
Real quickly, I understand congratulations are in order. Wedding bells ring in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I have a wedding coming up in 4 weeks. I'll be married to my fiancée, Michelle Robert.
Is Michelle a tall girl?
I don't know. She's about 5'9".
Well, that's tall for most. tall by my standards, I'll tell you that. The Rockets leading the Knicks by 7. We're back to the Garden after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
As we've said, it's an incredible week at Madison Square Garden, the NBA Finals, then Game 7 for the Stanley Cup on Tuesday. And how appropriate that Marv Albert would be working an NBA Finals game on this, his birthday. And we can't tell you how pleased we are that all of you folks, millions of you around the country, can be with us tonight as we celebrate for the 8th consecutive year Marv's 43rd birthday. Marvelous.
Bob, thank you. Thank you so much. The staff doing its research, obviously, Matt. I'm just emotionally crushed by this. It should be pointed out.
43.
Oh, it's your good friend Donald Trump, Matt.
Donald, yes. My business partner.
What does it say? Walk on. It's very nice. Marla, thank you very much. Thank you.
Were you around for the last?
Thank you. I told you never to bother me during the telecast. Very, very embarrassing. Thank you. Very nice. The staff very well prepared. Well, as we were saying in talking about NBA basketball, Matt, the Knicks making a run at the Houston Rockets. The Rockets shooting after the good start, falling off. They missed 7 of their last 8 from the field.
But the Rocket defense has been outstanding. Their half-court pressure has taken the Knicks out of their execution and also has gotten the Rockets' running game going, which is so important. And then when the Knicks guards came back, Starks and Harper, they increased the pressure, and that's how they got back into this ball game. And it must be nice to have friends in such high places.
All right, as we check out the Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics, the Rockets 17 of 40, 43% from the field, and the Knicks 17 of 43, shot only 40%. Blocked shots of significance, Knicks 6, Rockets 2, and Patrick Ewing had 4 of those 6 blocked shots. Ewing with 10 points in the first half, Olajuwon with 9, and neither shot well. Ewing 5 of 14 and Olajuwon 4 of 12, and the first half ended in sensational fashion. The catch by Olajuwon on that pass drifting away, and then the block. A brilliant play defensively by Ewing. Let's go to Hannah with Houston coach Rudy Tomjanovich.
Thanks, Marv. Coach, your team did a much better job executing your offense in the first half. How do you think they responded to the Knicks' pressure the last 4 minutes or so of the half?
Well, we didn't do real good there. In fact, we missed about 4 or 5 layups, and we could have a nice lead here, but I love the effort on the defensive end.
Hakeem Olajuwon only has 9 points. He seemed a little bit confused in the huddle about the double team, if and when it was coming. Is he having any trouble adjusting to the way the Knicks are playing him?
Not really. I mean, it's the same things that we're seeing, but there's just a lot of pressure. He's getting pressure from front, and sometimes they're not doubling, and that's that's putting a little bit of a trick in the game.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Marv?
All right, Hannah. You know, Matt, that Marla can be so annoying. Really gets on your nerves. We'll be right back.
Ahmad Rashad back at Madison Square Garden. Now at halftime, Pat Riley, very upset at his team, felt like they were out-hustled, and extremely upset because they were out-hustled here at home. Said there was too much standing around, and on offense, he wants them to continue to push the ball up. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, 7-point lead for the Houston Rockets as we get set for the start of play in the third quarter. It will be Nick Ball, and they open up with their starting unit of Hopper and Starks in the backcourt. Oakley, Smith, and Ewing up front. Smith is playing with 3 fouls. Ewing does not have any. Elijah Wan with only 1. Ewing with the nice fake. And back come the Rockets. Backcourt of Smith and Maxwell. Thornton, Elijah Wan, and Ori on the front line. Lost the dribble and then recovered. Here's Smith for 3. Yes. Kenny Smith from downtown. That's his first 3-pointer. 5 points for Smith, and the Rockets open up a 10-point lead.
Well, both teams would like to get their centers on the move and come to meet the ball to negate some of that physical pounding inside.
Once again, tough luck on the shot by Patrick Ewing. Gone by. Third quarter. Elijah Wan. Nice move by Akeem. Beautiful second effort.
And that's 2 times in a row that Patrick Ewing has gotten caught behind Akeem Olajuwon, and when Olajuwon puts it on the floor, the Knicks are very slow to get down to try to dig it out.
Rockets by 12. Here's Hopper. Yes. Derek Hopper shooting well once again. He has 9 points. Rockets 50. And the Knicks 40. Traveling violation is called.
Akeem Olajuwon getting the ball inside here, shows Patrick Ewing the ball, and then a little up and under move, as when he makes that change of direction, there should be a whole bunch of New York Knicks down there to greet him, but they're just kind of standing around and watching in these opening minutes of the third quarter.
Hopper calling out a play. Oakley sets the pick. Here's Starks for 3. Well, the shooting picking up at both ends. The Knicks with their second from downtown, the 2 of 7. Houston has been hot, 5 of 8 from 3-point land. Rockets by 7 points. Maxwell eluding Starks. Yes. Murray Maxwell. 10 points for Maxwell. And the Rockets lead 52-43. Starks, Smith, and Olajuwon in that battle for the loose ball. Last touch by Smith.
Well, the Knicks like to set little screen roll for John Starks on that right side of the floor as Charles Oakley set that screen to free up John Starks stepping behind that 3-point line.
Here's Maxwell feeling it. Off the mark on that 3-point attempt.
This has kind of become a one-on-one game right now between John Starks and Vernon Maxwell. Neither one getting their teammates involved.
Otis Thorpe charged with a foul. That is his second. Rockets with their first team foul. Game 3 of the best of 7. The series tied at 1. Game number 4 here at the Garden Wednesday night. Ewing with a driving hook. Patrick Ewing is 6 for 18. He has 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocked shots. Akeem Olajuwon 5 for 13, 11 points, and he was hacked.
Both of these centers have the ability to face up and either shoot that jump shot or take you off the dribble, as Patrick Ewing making sure he gets in the lane, using his shoulder to ward off Olajuwon as he flipped up that short little hook. And at the other end, Olajuwon again making that move very quickly before the Knicks defense can get down and help him. Patrick Ewing trying to tell the official that he got hooked on the play, and he did, as Olajuwon got him with that left arm and shoulder.
So Ewing is called for his first foul. Olajuwon now with 12 points, also has 5 assists, but only 4 rebounds. He has been kept off the boards right throughout the series. Rockets lead 54-45. They double up on Hopper. Smith for Ewing. Open shot for Patrick Ewing. And back come the Rockets. Kenny Smith on the penetration. Yes, and it counts. Beautiful move on a crossover dribble by Kenny Smith.
And you see the little smile on Kenny's face as he has been wondering to himself where that has been. He has been caught trying to just hang out on the perimeter, wait for that three-point shot, but he knows he has that quickness and ability to penetrate a defense, get in there, and create something. And really, this is the first time he has done it since that last couple of minutes of game 1 when he got in the lane and made that dish off to Otis Thorpe.
Oakley was called for the foul. 3-point play by Smith. He has 8 points. Kenny Smith was 8 years old when he began following those famed Knicks teams of the early 1970s. A great admirer of Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe. Good pressure here by the Rockets. Smith able to save it, but his pass too strong and turns it over.
And once again, that little half-court trap of the Rockets being very effective. The New York Knicks want to get the ball in the middle of it. They're using Charles Smith there. The time before, he got a good kick out to Patrick Ewing. This time the pass too hot to handle.
Houston leads by 12 with 4 minutes gone by in the third. Smith had the shot actually deflected by Hopper. Olajuwon with a spectacular move. Hakeem Olajuwon showing the spin, and the Rockets extend to a 14-point lead. Timeout taken by the Knicks.
Well, this is what Hakeem Olajuwon can do to Patrick Ewing as Patrick gives ground. That quick spin, and nothing Patrick can do standing straight up. As Patrick trying to body push out, as Olajuwon getting one of his rare offensive rebounds, just too quick for Patrick Ewing on the spin. One more look at it as Patrick tries to take away the lane move, loses him on the baseline.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Molson of Canada, a Canadian tradition since 1786. By Subway, the place where fresh is the taste. And by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me.
Well, a look from high atop the GE building, home of NBC, which incidentally, Matt, is home of the $1.99 grilled cheese sandwich at the commissary on a good day. A matchup check. Hakeem 6 of 14. Patrick Ewing 6 of 19 to this point. Ewing with the edge off the boards. Ewing with 4 blocks. Olajuwon with 2. 7.5 to go. Third quarter. And the Rockets lead by 14. Stark changed his mind and found Oakley. Foul is called. Oakley with the move to the hoop. Turned back by Olajuwon.
And Otis Thorpe is in a lot of pain right here as Olajuwon blocked that shot. I thought it hit Otis Thorpe in the head and face area, but he's in a lot of pain right now. Let's take a look. As Charles Oakley on the pick and roll to the basket situation, and there to greet him is Olajuwon, and actually it did not hit Otis Thorpe in the face, but he got tangled up with Charles Smith and went to the floor, but he's staying in the game. He's okay.
Charles Oakley with his first free throw attempts this series. Otis Thorpe headed back from a bruised hip, which was suffered earlier in the playoffs. The foul was called on Akeem Olajuwon, his second. And we're told that Otis twisted his right ankle, trying to hang in. Rockets 59 and the Knicks 46. Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell in the backcourt. Starting front line, Akeem Olajuwon, Robert Horry, and Otis Thorpe up front. Olajuwon with the spin. Sets up Maxwell for three. Loose ball foul against the Knicks. Now they say a double foul. Yes, Kersey making the call. Providing the interpretation over the scorer's table that has to walk over. Charles Oakley. Oakley and Otis Thorpe each hit with their third.
On the long jump shot by Vernon Maxwell, Otis Thorpe, who has been a tough offensive rebounder in the game so far, as Oakley trying to hang on to him and keep him off the glass. And Gus Kersey making the somewhat bailout call, calling it on both players.
Horry was stripped. Rockets get back. Starks try to break, but Houston able to make the transition. Knicks down by 13 points. Rockets have led throughout. Harper for three. That's his second from downtown. He's hit 5 of 9 overall. He has 12 points. Rockets 59. The Knicks 49. 6.5 remaining. Third quarter. Olajuwon called for a double dribble.
Akeem does not agree with this, as Olajuwon got the ball in good position, shoved a little bit by Patrick Ewing. And watch the feet there. Tough to see what the violation was.
Well, they called it a double dribble. Harper for three. And Olajuwon lost it. So the Knicks get a new 24. Starks worked off the pick. Feeds back to Smith. Rebound Smith. And a foul call.
Robert Horry very upset on a nice feed by John Starks inside to Charles Smith, who got inside Olajuwon. Could not get this ball to fall. Got hit on the back of the head by Akeem first, and then the strip by Robert Horry, and a foul is called there as the officials ruled that he hit him on the wrist, but Robert Horry felt he got all ball.
Horry called for his first. Charles Smith to the line. He's 1 of 2 from the line. Charles Smith had a solid game Friday night in Houston, although his knees are still sore and have been bothering him. 8 points tonight for Smith. Rockets lead 59-50. Houston Rockets have won only 2 games here at Madison Square Garden since back in 1986. The Knicks, on the other hand, have had trouble winning in Houston. The victory on Friday, their first in Houston since 1988. And only played 2 games during the regular season. But a long time between victories for both, as Olajuwon knocks it down, and the Rockets lead by 10.
And one of the best executed plays by the Rockets really in this series. There was a lot of movement. And finally, Olajuwon popping up to the top of the key, as the Rockets want to mix it up for Akeem and not just keep pounding inside to him. They want him to get away from the basket and face up.
Olajuwon has 17 points. Starks posting up on Maxwell, had nowhere to go. And the outside official, Jake O'Donnell, makes that call, now conferring with Bill Oakes. Shot clock still showing 3 on the 24, and apparently they're calling illegal defense. It is the second violation on the Rockets, and John Starks will shoot the technical.
John was down there pounding the ball in a post-up position against Bernie Maxwell. Everybody kind of standing around waiting for something to happen. As Pat Riley took that opportunity to bark out to Derek Harper, start taking the ball to the basket. He feels his team is standing around too much. They want to get inside the defense, try to create something, either a driving layup or a kickoff to an open man.
Nick Ball, they are down by 9. 12th illegal defensive technical of the playoffs in 19 games against the Rockets. Both the Knicks and the Rockets are called for that violation, more than most clubs. And back comes Olajuwon. Smith on the run, and he's fouled. Crowd wanted to travel, but the foul is called on Harper.
Kenny Smith trying to be much more aggressive in this game 3 as far as taking the ball to the basket. Here he has an open floor situation, taking it to Derek Harper, who will remember in that game 6 making that big play on just such a play like that on Vern Fleming, stripping him of the ball at a crucial time coming down the stretch, and this time the crowd reacting, thinking that Derek Harper got all ball, as Derek did as well.
Kenny Smith, 75% free throw shooter during the regular season. Kenny Smith, a star at Archbishop Malloy High School in Queens, and along with Mark Jackson and Pearl Washington, part of a harvest of New York City point guards back in the early 80s. And then for Kenny on to the University of North Carolina. Starks for 3. That is his second from downtown. He has 13 points. Rockets 63. The Knicks 55. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Third quarter. Olajuwon met by the double team. And Jake O'Donnell with the call. Against the Knicks, it's on Ewing, his second.
Well, the whole sequence started with Patrick Ewing fronting Olajuwon, something he's had a difficult time of doing, but realizes he's getting hurt playing behind. But the Rockets are going to be very patient here as the ball going back outside will come in again to Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing going to be called for a little grab there, and basically a touch foul.
Anthony Mason over at the scorer's table, getting set to come on. Rockets go right back to Olajuwon. And Ori was tripped up. Fouled by Smith. And that is his 4. Knicks are over the limit. Ori will head to the line. And here is Mason replacing Smith, who sits down with 9 points and 4 rebounds.
I wouldn't be surprised if Pat Riley has put in Anthony Mason. This would be a normal time for him to come in the ballgame anyway, but to give him an opportunity to work on Olajuwon a little bit. Patrick Ewing has worked very hard in his first 8 minutes of this third quarter, but Patrick is really struggling offensively. Just 6 for 20 from the field, and some of it has to do with that extra energy expended at the defensive end, but also you have to give a lot of credit to Olajuwon for forcing Patrick into some poor percentage shots.
Hakeem is 7 of 15 from the field, 17 points. Ewing 6 of 20, 12 points. So both have been firing away. Rockets lead by 10. Smith with the pressure on Harper. Ewing forced further out than he'd like. Harper for 3. Maxwell rebounds, and he's fouled. Pushed from behind by Starks.
Well, John trying to get in there and get the offensive rebound. However, good play by Derek Harper after feeding the post, drifting to the corner, had a good look at that three-point shot. And Starks knew he was in trouble anyway. Had the Rockets gotten a rebound there with Starks deep in the right corner, Harper deep in the right corner, and Starks on the baseline, the Rockets no doubt would have gotten an easy fast break chance.
To Vernon Maxwell, that was his 5th rebound. Maxwell had the hot hand early. He now has 11 points in all. Vernon Maxwell finished the regular season in strong fashion following additional off-the-court problems back in mid-March. Arrested for the third time in 20 months, charged with carrying a weapon in his car. He was fined $15,000, sentenced to community service. After a turbulent career at the University of Florida. Olajuwon with that rebound. Here comes Ori. Fans looking for a charging foul. Fans break for the Knicks. Hopper beating Maxwell. It's a 10-point Houston lead.
One of the rare chances for the Knicks to get out and get an easy one, as the Rockets have been kind of mesmerizing New York with their half-court offense, and New York just not able to get a good block shot, a good rebound, a steal to get some fast break and easy baskets.
Hopper broke it up. Enjoys a laugh with Rudy Tomjanovich. He got a good portion of that ball, and it deflected off Rudy.
And Kenny Smith really furious there, as a little extra effort with a bounce pass would have gotten him a wide open three.
Smith had to fire it up with the shot clock running down. We come up on 3 minutes to go in the third. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, on Rashad, and a storm from the guard. Ewing. Patrick Ewing is now 6 for 21. And a timeout is called by the Rockets.
On this deflection, Rudy Tomjanovich, who used to have his hands up ready to catch and shoot at all times, this time caught with his hands in his pocket and right in the stomach, as he is happy it was in the stomach.
Well, that man had to round up a lot of tickets for family and friends. A product of Queens. Had been very quiet first 2 games of the series against his hometown New York Knicks, but has come on here tonight. He had a very good series against Utah, the Western Conference Final, and tonight 10 points, although no assists to this juncture for Kenny Smith. Smith and Maxwell remain in the backcourt. Olajuwon with Thorpe and Ori up front. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go, third quarter. Rockets lead by 10. Hopper takes it away, and back comes Starks, leading Ewing. Oakley on the recovery. And a foul on Ori.
Well, Kenny Smith.
Vernon Maxwell
Caught with a fan.
Vernon Maxwell, from time to time, will get involved answering back, and that time had an answer for a fan. Like things have been settled down, and now a technical foul has been called. It's on Maxwell, who is being restrained. Well, earlier we heard Vernon tell us that he was trying to make an effort to stay under control, but that has not been the case. This is second technical of the series, and he's hearing it from the crowd. 11th technical called on Maxwell during the playoffs, but Starks could not take advantage. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, that technical was because Vernon got into a little shouting match with the players on the Knicks bench back and forth, and Billy Oakes saw that and called the technical.
Well, apparently the Knicks applying the needle after Vernon Maxwell got involved with one of those fans.
Well, I wonder, Marv, because in Game 2 he tried to do that with the Knicks bench, and none of them would bite. They just ignored him, and I really don't know what happened there, but he's been trying to get something going to get him going.
Olajuwon with the block, stopping Ewing, and a foul called against the Knicks. It's on Oakley. That is his 4th.
Well, Patrick Ewing, who has had his problems all night long, now 6 for 21 as he took this one strong, but Hakeem Olajuwon has been timing his shots very well, if not to block them, at least to make them challenge and make them difficult, as Patrick Ewing really having trouble scoring, as are the Knicks with only 57 points so far. A little over 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. There's no way that they're executing like they did in game 2. And of course, they shot 52% in that game. They're not getting the stickbacks on offensive rebounds, and they're not getting fast breaks. So it's going to be difficult to score points unless they get something going in those two areas, fast breaks or offensive rebounds.
52% shooting for the Knicks is uncharacteristic because they are not a good shooting ball club. So that was an aberration. And as you say, having their problems here tonight, Ewing is 1 for 7 from the field in the third. And we get a whistle before that shot attempt. And the call against the Rockets. It's on 4, so that is 4 on 4. And he'll be replaced by Carl Herrera.
Well, Anthony Mason was anticipating a shot from Patrick Ewing, starting to get in on the offensive boards or get good position in front of Thorpe. And Otis knew he was beaten on the play and tried to throw Mason out of there. That's a key player for the Rockets going to the bench. He seems to be the one Houston Rocket who has himself under control, in particular at the offensive end. He's been doing a lot of directing of traffic, setting up pick and roll plays, trying to keep everybody on the same page. And he'll be sorely missed for the Rockets while he sits with 4.
The reaction as Anthony Bonner replaces Charles Oakley. For Bonner, the first time he has played this series. Very popular player here in New York. Signing as a free agent after 3 years with Sacramento. Played only briefly in the series against Indiana after starting 7 of 9 games at the beginning of the playoff series against the Nets and the Bulls. He has been bothered by a sore abdominal muscle. He stepped out. Kenny Smith stepped out of bounds, and the ball goes back to New York.
Now that's the second turnover that Derek Harper has forced on Kenny Smith, and Sam Cassell's ready to come in. Good pressure by Harper, and it's really not sticking his hand in there or anything like that, but Kenny Smith a little bit tight with the dribble, aware of Harper. He got the ball taken away from him before, and this is where he got himself in trouble in game 2 and why he did not finish in the fourth quarter.
And a delay of game warning called on Smith, not allowing the Knicks to move down court. Starks on a quick release. And the foul called on Cassell. Now, Anthony Bonner is a player who will keep the ball alive, and he will hustle all night long. And he was a starter for a good portion of this season.
I think Pat Riley knows that his team needs a lift offensively, and you say, well, gee, Anthony Bonner, he's not really a scorer. He doesn't shoot the ball. He's a horrible free throw shooter, but what he can do is create some havoc at the defensive end, run the court, fill lanes, and he can finish on the fast break, and he can make himself busy on the offensive boards as well. And this is how New York is going to have to score points right now, because their half-court offense is turning up almost nothing.
Anthony Mason, 3 of 5 at the line. Rockets 69. The Knicks 61. Is pressure again by Harper. They want to make it difficult for Cassell to move it down. Cassell had a notion to take it to the hoop and then flips one up. Not a good shot. Minute 25 remaining. Third quarter. Mason gets down deep and is rejected. Olajuwon came over. That's his 4th block of the game. Now Cassell and Ellie in the backcourt. Olajuwon stripped. Starks with the lead for Bonner. Yes, and it counts.
John Starks delivers to the finishing Anthony Bonner. May have got caught or may have gotten away with an extra little step in there, but this is why he's in the ballgame right now, for plays such as this, finishing on the fast break as he gets all tied up with Robert Horry.
Horry called for the foul, his 3rd. There was the feeling, Matt, and we had talked about it with Pat Riley prior to the start of the series, that Anthony Bonner would receive the playing time because Houston has a number of quick leapers. That looked like a page out of the Harlem Globetrotter bag of tricks. on the hesitation by Bonner.
Everybody into the lane early there on that fake, and because also everybody aware that this is around a 40% free throw shooter, so this thing could come off anywhere, and everybody want to make sure that if you're an offensive player, you have a chance at an offensive rebound, and if you're a Houston Rocket, you want to make sure you don't give one up.
Anthony Bonner, 47% to be precise from the line during the regular season. And we get a whistle on that play. Again, Rockets anticipating, and Herrera was called as he stepped in too quickly. Now, normally, players like substitute free throws, but in the case of Anthony Bonner, it may not be that pleasing. There's Herrera stepping in, trying to step back. Crowd very much back into it here with 59 seconds left in the third. Bonner not able to take advantage. Rockets lead by 6. They led by as many as 16. They have led all the way. As we close out the third quarter, Herrera with the pick. Olajuwon with possession. Rebounded by Ori. And the Rockets regroup. Herrera over Ewing, rejected. Patrick Ewing with his 5th block.
Now that's the second time Carl Herrera did not even appear to see Patrick Ewing, and he got a shot block.
The Knicks holding for a final shot. Out of 10 seconds in the quarter. Ewing. He continues to have his problems. Ori, did he get it off in time? No, he did not. So after 3, Rockets lead 69-63. Hakeem Olajuwon, 7 of 17 from the field for 17 points. Patrick Ewing is only 6 for 23, 12 points along with 10 rebounds. He was 1 of 8 in the third. Back after these words from your local station.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
We welcome you back to Madison Square Garden in New York. Rockets and Knicks in Game 3 of this best of 7. Series tied at 1. Houston is led by as many as 16. They are now up by 3, but the Rockets have had big troubles in the fourth quarter. 2 of 13, Game 1, 5 of 25 in game number 2. They ended the first half missing 7 of the last 8 shots, and at the end of the third quarter, they missed their last 7. That's how they open up here in the fourth. Nice pass from Ellie, setting up Thorpe, drops it off for Herrera. And that shot altered by the presence of Ewing. Mason from Smart. And the Rocket lead is down to 4.
And the Rockets start the fourth quarter, giving Olajuwon a little bit of a rest. And the New York Knicks taking advantage of it by getting the ball inside, and no shot blocker there, and Mason puts the easy 2.
Illegal defense called against the Knicks, so that will mean a technical foul. That is their second violation. And let's see how long Rudy Tomjanovich stays with Sam Cassell at the point guard position. Mario Ellie will shoot the technical. Derek Harper has been all over Sam Cassell. Rockets now lead by 5. Hakeem Olajuwon had a brief rest, and he is back on the floor, so it is Olajuwon with Herrera and Ori up front. Cassell and Ellie at the guard. Harper has 4 steals. And again, illegal defense. Another technical foul awarded the Houston Rockets. So Mario Ellie back to the line. Rockets now lead 71-65. Pat Riley starting this fourth quarter rather, with Hopper and Starks in the backcourt. Mason, Ewing, Bonner up front. Herrera keeps it alive. Back come the Knicks. Houston has missed its last 10 shots. And on the turnover, the Rockets return to the offense.
Well, Anthony Mason really had nowhere to go there, trying to spin on the dribble, and Ellie knocked it loose.
Good play by Bonner. Pausing the Ori turnover.
Well, during the break between the third and start of the fourth quarter, had to start telling us what Rudy Tomjanovich was telling his team, to stay under control, play together, making them aware of just what these Knicks can do defensively in the fourth quarter.
Mason. That is a most unusual move for Anthony Mason. He feels he can take Carl Herrera down low and power him to the basket, but rarely goes to that running hook. Here is Olajuwon, and a foul called on Mason.
Well, Anthony Mason getting good position with Herrera on his back. Likes to use his right hand. That time went off the wrong foot, and he had to feel Hakeem Olajuwon from behind, who has been buzzing around trying to block every shot.
2 minutes have gone by. In the fourth quarter, the Rocket lead is 4. Olajuwon, during the regular season, had his way against the Knicks in the 2 games of the season set. He dominated, but in the finals, it has not been the same. He has not been able to do it, in particular, in the fourth quarter. The numbers are not bad, but he has not done it down the stretch.
Well, a lot of it has been the defense, really, of the New York Knicks. Plus, both Patrick Ewing and Olajuwon working so hard at the defensive end, really don't seem to have that much left offensively.
It is an illegal defense festival here in the fourth quarter. Another one called, this time against the Rockets, so a technical foul awarded to the Knicks. But first timeout taken, 9 minutes, 53 seconds remaining in the fourth. It's Houston by 6 points. Apparently first, the technical will be taken by John Starks, and then we will take a break. John Starks, 3 of 4 from the line. 14 points. 7 assists for Starks. So the Rockets lead it 73-68.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Tonight's Miller moment goes back to Game 3, last year's NBA Finals. Suns and Bulls tied at 103, and Charles Barkley attempted to win it. No good. It is on to overtime, and then tied at 107. Time running out. Danny Ainge for the win. Well, it's on to the second overtime. Even at 114, and Scottie Pippen missed at the buzzer. It is on to overtime number 3. Finally, it was the Suns who prevailed, 129-121 in triple overtime. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. 9:53 to go. Fourth quarter. Houston 73, New York 68. And once again, the crowd getting into it. It is Knick ball as we resume. Anthony Bonner now up front along with Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason. Greg Anthony and John Starks at the guard. Rockets led by as many as 16, and they've had the lead all the way. Shot clock at 6. Knicks having trouble getting off the shot. Ewing with another opportunity.
Well, the Knicks did not look sharp at all there. Pressured by the Houston defense as Patrick Ewing tries to get to the hole.
Anthony rejected. And Cassell comes up with it. 22nd timeout called by Cassell.
As he is down. And trainer Ray Malchiori will come out. I mentioned that Patrick Ewing taking the ball to the basket. He is 6 for 23 from the field. No free throws in the ball game. And he has taken the ball to the basket on a number of occasions, but still, you think you'd get some foul shots. He's got to get back in on the offensive boards and try to get some contact there. But it's also an indication about how well he has been played by Hakeem Olajuwon.
Sam Cassell comes hobbling off, took a shot in the groin. Rockets have now gone 8.5 minutes without a field goal. They've missed their last 10. Cassell is indicating that he is all right. Rudy Tomjanovich was about to take him out. You mentioned Patrick Ewing. 6 of 23 thus far this evening. 1 of 8 in the second half.
And the Rockets have 7 seconds to get this ball over midcourt. They are aware of it.
Horry guarded by Bonner. Sell met by Anthony. Mason jumping out on a double team. Shot clock is down to 7. Olajuwon. Pass broken up by Bonner. And a foul is called on the Rockets. It's called on Cassell. That is his 4th.
Well, Cassell is in the ballgame right now because he can create offensively as Kenny Smith looks on. He got in the lane, got the ball out to Olajuwon, who got Ewing up in the air with the pump fake, something some of the other Rockets have been unable to do.
Rockets by 5. Anthony did not have the shot and resets. Starks for 3. And it comes to Cassell, unloads to Ellie. And he'll take his time because the Knicks got back. Olajuwon again being played by Mason, so effective against Hakeem the first 2 games. Now to 6 on the 24. Olajuwon had a notion from three-point land. Horry fires. Saved by Horry. And knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Knicks.
Hakeem Olajuwon has shown some signs of fatigue, in particular in the last 2 fourth quarters, and he looks that way again as he's not really putting up much resistance to the bodying of Anthony Mason. He had the ball inside, threw it back out, and didn't really have the energy or strength to try to reestablish position.
Rockets have now gone 9-20 without a field goal. They've missed their last 11 shots, holding on to a 5-point lead. Horry making 12 straight misses for the Rockets. Harper calls out a play. Starks for 3. The Rocket lead is down to 2.
Bread and butter play for the New York Knicks. That wing pick and roll between Ewing and Starks. John can do that, or he can penetrate and hit to Patrick.
Harper called for the foul. That is his 3rd. The Knicks with their 2nd team foul. And a timeout being indicated, or let's see. Well, apparently a substitution, an official timeout as Vernon Maxwell checks in. Maxwell and Cassell in the backcourt. Olajuwon for Horry up front. Wild shot by Cassell. It counts and the foul. He got the call on the continuation. And that is their first field goal in 10.5 minutes.
In the first quarter, we saw Horry getting by people driving to the basket. And as I'll say it once again, this is why he's in the fourth quarter. He can get in there, get his own shot, or create one for somebody else, as he is absolutely ecstatic with that move and going to the free throw line. And Kenny Smith, the guy who would love to be in there in the 4th period, is showing his appreciation.
Starks called for the foul, his 3rd. Officially, the Rockets went 10 minutes, 27 seconds without a field goal. They missed 12 consecutive shots before that drive by Cassell. Rockets lead by 4. Oakland rejected by Olajuwon. That's his 6th block. Here Fast break nullified. The ball back to the Knicks. Excellent play by Harper to handcuff Maxwell. You see Oakley hobbling off. Timeout taken. Rockets lead it by 4.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. By True Lies, the new action adventure starring Arnold Schwarzenegger starts Friday, July 15th. And by Jeep and Eagle, official vehicles of the NBA.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden in New York. The Rockets with a 75-71 lead on the Knicks. In game 1, Rockets went through a spurt where they converted only one field goal in 10 minutes, 58 seconds. They finished game 2, not able to hit in the final 6:31. And they went 10 minutes and 27 seconds going back to the third quarter without able to hit. They missed 12 consecutive shots before that drive a moment ago by Sam Cassell. Just under 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Hopper tried to set it up, but it went astray, and it will be Houston ball.
And part of the problem that the Knicks have had in their half-court execution all night long has been very poor spacing and really just miscommunication by Ewing and Starks on the weak side, and Derek Harper really got confused.
Mason in a battle with Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon with a beautiful spin on Anthony Mason. Starts all the way. Rebound Ewing. Only his second field goal of the second half. Collision between Mason and Cassell following that shot.
And that's why Pat Riley wants his guards Harper and Starks to take the ball in the basket as much as possible. Even if they miss, it creates an opening for an offensive rebound.
Horry had it knocked away. Last touch by the Knicks. Rockets 77 and the Knicks 73. 5:59 remaining.
When you watch Olajuwon inside, he likes to dip that shoulder into it and knock off the defender before he gets into his spin move. When he puts it into Mason, he's unable to move him.
Olajuwon this time not able to get the shot. Horry a force because the shot clock was running down. He had to take the shot.
Well, really, nobody else on the floor aware other than Horry, and he had a good look at the 24-second clock, but he just had to fling that, never really got the shot set or his feet straight as he winds up on the bench after that.
Otis Thorpe has come on for Robert Horry. Here's Harper. Well, Derek Harper hit big buckets down the stretch for the Knicks on Friday night. He's had another good shooting performance, 16 points in all, and the Knicks are with him too. Cassell with the step. Maxwell for three. Oakley with the rebound. Starks chased by Maxwell. Eludes him and hits. The game is tied at 77. Timeout called by the Rockets.
By Sam Cassell and the kick out to Maxwell. John Starks really wasn't near him, and he's been able to release on 3 or 4 occasions, and finally the Knicks found him as Charles Oakley sent him off for the easy 2, but all 5 Houston Rockets were flat along the baseline, nobody protecting the backcourt.
5 minutes, 6 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. This very similar to what took place on Friday night when the Knicks took control in the fourth quarter in Houston. And again, the Rockets having shooting difficulties in the fourth. Thorpe now posting up against Ewing. Goes to the hook and banks it home. Otis Thorpe with a post-up move against Patrick Ewing to give the Rockets a 79-77 lead. Another solid game for John Starks, looking for the shot, unleashes for the three. Cassell tapping it over to Olajuwon, who was tied up by Starks.
Not a good shot by John Starks, going away from the basket, going to his left and fading on a long three-point shot, and Pat Riley keeps looking out to John, telling him, take the ball to the basket.
Olajuwon and Starks. Controlled by the Rockets. Rudy Tomjanovich staying with the combination of Vernon Maxwell and the rookie Sam Cassell. Up front, Akeem Olajuwon, Otis Thorpe, and now Carl Herrera. Herrera. The tip missed. Thorpe with the rebound, and a foul is called.
Well, the Knicks very much aware of the penetration ability of Sam Cassell, ready to trap him as he comes off on the pick and roll situation, and they get themselves all out of whack defensively, and that's how Herrera got open for that shot. And Oakley making sure he ties up Otis Thorpe before he's in the act of shooting.
Oakley called for number 5, and he will remain on the floor. Robert Horry is back. Horry coming on for Herrera. Cassell rejected. Last touch, though, by the Knicks, knocked out of bounds. Rockets have 17 on the 24.
Another reason to keep Patrick Ewing off Olajuwon is so he can play center field, play the goalie around the basket, and come over and help out defensively as he did there.
We're just under 4 minutes to go in the fourth. Houston with the ball. They lead by 2. Nice change of direction by Horry. He went right, then left, and stuffed it for a 4-point Rocket lead.
And Charles Oakley just does not have the lateral movement to stay with Robert Horry, who can take it to the hole. That's what he was doing in the first quarter.
14 points for Horry. Harper for 3. Yes. 19 for Harper. That's his third three-pointer. Rocket lead is now 1. 3:20 to go in the fourth. Olajuwon with the spin to the fadeaway. Rebound Mason. The Rockets have led all the way, clinging to a 1-point lead. Harper had a tip by Cassell. Ewing. For the first time tonight, the Knicks have the lead. They are up by 1. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go. Fourth quarter. Olajuwon, double team. Finds Thorpe. Thorpe hits, yes, and it counts. What a tremendous adjustment by Otis Thorpe as he was fouled. Rockets up now by 1, and Thorpe to the line. He was fouled by Starks.
Well, Patrick Ewing, 7 for 24 until he makes that one. I don't think he even saw the basket with Olajuwon on his face as Otis Thorpe got open because the whole New York Knicks defense converged on Akeem Olajuwon, and Thorpe making a very difficult shot. He does struggle from the free throw line.
But in this case, completes the three-point play. Rockets 84, the Knicks 82. The Knicks have caught fire. They've hit 5 of the last 6 shots. 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in the fourth. Ewing guarded by Olajuwon, pokes it away. Cassell tried to save it, but he was out of bounds. And the Knicks will have 9 on the shot clock. But first, they call for time. It's a 20-second timeout taken by New York. So both teams have 3 full timeouts remaining. The tale of this series over the first 3 games has been the inability of the Houston Rockets to hold on in the fourth quarter. In game number 1, they were able to win 85-78. Earlier in the playoffs, you can see the leads they were able to compile against Portland on 3 occasions, against Utah in game 5 of that Western Conference final, They had problems in game number 2 against the Knicks on Friday night, and they had the big lead here, led by as many as 16, had the lead going to the 4th quarter, but the Knicks able to come back and briefly led by 1.
And it's a lot of Houston's own doing. It's what they talked about after game 2, about making good decisions coming down the stretch, making sure that they get good shots.
And again, Hakeem Olajuwon only 1 of 4 in the 4th. In the series, 2 for 12 from the field of the 4th quarter. Ewing from deep. Rebound Mason. And tipped home. Charles Oakley with the tip, and the game is tied at 84. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the 4th. Cassell trying to lead Thorpe. Here's Maxwell for 3. And Harper gets to it.
And once again, John Starks releasing on that jump shot. If Derek Harper had looked up a half a second sooner, he would have had him.
Starks for Ewing. Yes. The Knicks, 86. The Rockets, 84. And the Rockets call for time.
Well, bread and butter play for the New York Knicks. A little pick and roll with John Starks and Patrick Ewing. It's what they go to in the 4th quarter, as Patrick has struggled all night long, has made his last 2 jump shots. And the last time here, 4 for 20. He said he would have shot 50 if he had them.
We talked about this at the start of the telecast, the different looks that the Knicks provide against Hakeem Olajuwon. And again, they've done a nice job against Hakeem, against Ewing. 5 of 13 for 12 points. Anthony Mason has bothered Olajuwon once again. Charles Oakley has played him briefly, and we've seen double teams from time to time. But once again, Hakeem Olajuwon not doing it in the 4th quarter. Rockets also having difficulty getting him the ball in the proper position.
Well, they like to go to pick and roll situations coming down the stretch as well, because if they just come down and go right into Olajuwon, they pretty much know now he's going to get doubled quickly, and they would like to get the ball to him in more of an open court type of setting, the reason for running the pick and roll.
A minute 28 remaining, 4th quarter. Knicks 86, Rockets 84. Houston with 2 timeouts left. The Knicks with 3 remaining. Thorpe inbounds to Olajuwon. Cassell handles against Harper. He came off a pick. He lost Mason. Beautifully executed by the Rockets. And the game is tied at 86.
Well, everybody fell asleep in the lane there as Ori curled Olajuwon, and everybody stayed with Olajuwon, and Mason tried to catch up. Too late.
We come up on 1 minute remaining in the 4th. Shot clock down to 6. Here is Harper. Derek Harper putting together back-to-back excellent shooting games. He now has 21 points. The Knicks lead by 2. Olajuwon in the one-on-one coverage pops it out. Here's Cassell for 3. Sam Cassell coolly hits from downtown to give the Rockets a 1-point lead. And a timeout called by the Knicks. Sam Cassell, the rookie from Florida State, who faced the criticism following his play in game number 2, teeing it up and firing it home. The Rockets have been 1 of the last 9 from three-point land in the second half. Vernon Maxwell only 0 for 6 from downtown, but Cassell with the clutch shot. Rockets 89, Knicks 88, 28 seconds to go in the 4th. Cassell has come up very big with that clutch three-pointer just a moment ago. In his 2 years at Florida State, where incidentally he teamed in the backcourt with football star Charlie Ward, you can see that he has already surpassed, in this his rookie season, the game action that he saw in his 2 years in college ball. He's hit 3 of 3 from downtown, 11 points in all, 28 seconds to go. In the fourth, Charles Oakley forced to call for a timeout. He could not find anyone, so avoids the violation of the Knicks are now down to 1 timeout remaining. Houston has 2 left. And the Rockets, who have led most of the way, leading by as many as 16, saw the lead evaporate and have been able to recapture it. They are up by 1. A reminder tonight, following the Knicks and the Rockets, a special Sunday episode of the hit comedy Frasier, and then Law and Order. That'll be all tonight right here on NBC. Viewers on the West Coast will see local programming, followed by the second half of Frasier and Law and Order. Patrick Ewing, only 9 of 27. That is an enormous number of shots for Ewing. 18 points, but also has 12 rebounds and 7 blocked shots. Hakeem Olajuwon with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocked shots. The record for an NBA final, 8 blocks held by our own Bill Walton, along with Hakeem Olajuwon.
As the Knicks were trying to inbound this ball, Derek Harper being played by Sam Cassell underneath the basket, as I don't know what they could find funny at this point. Of course, Derek Harper hit a big jump shot to give the Knicks a 2-point lead right before that, and then Cassell on the kick out from Olajuwon giving the Rockets the 1-point lead, as I'm sure they were congratulating each other, but not a time to be having any kind of chit-chat. You know, Marv, after all the questions at the end of game 2, when Sam Cassell finished up that game and made a lot of poor plays, it shows the kind of confidence that Rudy has in him and the kind of self-confidence that Cassell has staying in this ball game, coming not afraid to take the shot, not afraid to penetrate.
You know, Sam can break you up with those one-liners, though. It's all timing. Rockets by 1. Down to 25 seconds. 16 on the 24. And we get a whistle away from the ball. Houston is celebrating an offensive foul, apparently. Called on the Knicks. It's on Ewing. Patrick Ewing called for the foul.
John Starks trying to get open here. Patrick Ewing stepping out and knocking off Vernon Maxwell, and the officials caught him moving.
And Harper gives the foul on Cassell with 22 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Knicks are over the limit. The Rockets have only 1 team foul. So Cassell will go to the free throw line. He is 0 for 1 at the line, and during the season, 84% free throw shooter. In the series, 8 for 9 from the line. And very coolly hits the first. And looks back with a smile at teammate Robert Horry.
Well, confidence is going to carry it very, very far in this league, but his teammates were having lots of words with him in the last ball game, but Rudy Tomjanovich and the coaching staff know what he can do for this ball club because he is such a creative player, and he has that confidence.
Sam Cassell hitting both. And he's provided a 3-point lead for the Houston Rockets. What poise by the rookie out of Florida State, Sam Cassell. Hits the 3-pointer, hits the 2 foul shots. 22 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. And the Rockets lead 91-88. The Knicks have used their final timeout.
Well, the Knicks have had problems with execution really throughout the whole season. In game 2 was probably the best they've executed their half-court offense, and it showed in the way that they shot 52% from the field. Here on a very crucial play, coming in on a side out-of-bounds play to try to get John Starks coming out on a screen. Patrick Ewing called for stepping in on the pick on Sam Cassell, and a very costly foul and turnover at that particular point in the game. Now the Rockets, the Knicks don't necessarily need a 3-point shot here. However, they are out of timeouts, Mark. The Knicks are out of timeouts, so you got to take that into consideration. They'll take the 3 if it's there, but if a 2 shows up, they can take that and then foul the Rockets going down the other end. Still plenty of time for another score, because many times if you take that 3 quickly here, miss it, you have to foul right away, and then it becomes a 5-point ball game. It's very, very difficult to catch up at that point.
Starks 3 of 8 from downtown. Derek Harper 3 of 7 from beyond the three-point arc. Game 4 of this best-of-7 NBA Finals series Wednesday night here at Madison Square Garden. Will be on hand beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 on the West Coast. And game number 5 here at the Garden on Friday night, also 9 o'clock Eastern Time start. The Rockets trying to bounce back from the loss at home on Friday night and turn the trick against the Knicks. Let's see how the Knicks play. Will they go for the 3 or the quick 2? 22 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. Rockets by 3. Hopper played by Maxwell. Starks being guarded by Ori. Starks looking for the shot. He eludes Olajuwon, gets it off the 3. Oakley with the rebound. Down to 6 seconds. Here's Starks getting the good look for the 3 to tie, and a foul is called. Now that could have been a 4-point play. Hakeem Olajuwon making contact with John Starks. Had he hit it, it would have been 3 plus the foul. Hakeem called for his 3rd. With 3 and 9/10 seconds to go, John Starks will go to the line.
Well, he had an excellent look at the basket here and appeared to have plenty of time. However, Hakeem Olajuwon bearing down on him, so much so that he committed a foul in the play. A lot of people in the NBA would like to see the rule change, much as it is in college when you are fouled in that situation, that you would get free throws. Of course, that is not the rule in the NBA right now.
Yes, Pat Riley would like to make that appeal right now. Starks 5 of 6 at the line. The Knicks are 13 of 18 at the foul line, but we're down to 3 and 9/10 seconds now. Does he miss this one on purpose, Matt? 2-point lead.
Yes.
All right. Let's see how Starks plays it. Yes, he does try to miss it. He does, but it's rebounded by Thorpe. Rockets will try to call a timeout. And apparently they got the call. So John Starks did attempt to miss it on purpose. He line drived it off the back rim.
And the Rockets anticipating this as well, with Olajuwon and Thorpe inside, do a good job, as Patrick Ewing did spin inside Olajuwon, but Otis Thorpe quick to the basketball to hang on as he's grabbed by both John Starks, who had really a lot of basketball, and Oakley from behind.
Out of 2 and 8/10 seconds to go. The Knicks facing the prospect of losing their 8th straight Game 3 of the playoffs to make it a clean sweep in that department in this year's playoff run. When we resume, it will be Rockets ball. The Knicks are out of timeouts. Houston does have 1 timeout remaining.
And Otis Thorpe will be going to the free throw line. And even though he is not a particularly good foul shooter, shooting 60% in the playoffs with so little time right now, and the Knicks not having any timeouts left, very difficult to advance the ball. Rudy Tomjanovich laying out all the possibilities to his team, making sure that there is no foul on a missed free throw. And of course, Otis would have to miss the first and the second.
A look at the individual scoring leaders. Hakeem Olajuwon with 21. Robert Horry with 16. Bernard Maxwell with 12. Sam Cassell has been Mr. Clutch. He had 13. Derek Harper leading the way with 21. John Starks with 20. And Patrick Ewing with 18. Ewing 9 for 27 from the field.
And there will be I guess a jump ball situation or a timeout. Still not sure. A timeout, just a timeout situation, and the Rockets will be inbounding the ball up into their front court area to get it out of harm's way, so they don't have to make any kind of inbounds pass in the backcourt.
Rockets had called the timeout before the contact was made, and so Thorpe will throw it in. Rockets by 2. 91-89. Thorpe for Cassell. And just Kersey looking over at Dick O'Donnell, made the call. Foul on Starks, a push. Knicks are over the limit. Cassell will go to the foul line. Here's Hubert Davis checking in for the long-range possibility.
Sam Cassell was shaken up on that play as he was pushed into the press table area there, or the left shoulder area. But a smart play by the Rockets to not try to inbound that pass near the midcourt area, where if there was a steal, the Knicks would get a shot at the basket and at least made the pass going towards their basket.
And Cassell is now 3 of 4 from the line, but he has hit 3 clutch free throws. He has 14 points. 8 of his 14 coming here in the fourth quarter. The Rockets by 3. Knicks with no timeouts remaining. 2 and 4/10 seconds to go. And Cassell hits both. Now Oakley unleashes. Rockets do not want to foul here. Olajuwon went for it. That's very dangerous what he just did again. And the Rockets come away with the victory. Hakeem Olajuwon contesting the shot of Patrick Ewing, and Ewing hit a foul. That's a potential 4-point play. But the Rockets come away with a 93-89 victory, and they lead 2-1 in the best of 7. Let's go to Hannah Storm.
Sam, Rudy Tomjanovich had been second guessed for leaving you in the fourth quarter of Game 2. But given all the criticism that you took after that game, how satisfying is it to score your team's last 7 points and win?
Well, I'm still young, and I'm going to learn things throughout this whole season. Game 2, it was an awkward situation for me. Like I said, I'm young, I'm learning. My teammate still has a lot of confidence in me. And tonight, Rudy just told me, just forget Game 2. We got Game 3, and win Game 3, and home court advantage is our favorite thing.
Now, Sam, you guys have had a lot of trouble hanging on to leads in the fourth quarter. What does it do for your confidence to win it in a tough fourth quarter here in Madison Square Garden?
It makes us feel good. It makes us feel good. We know that we're a great road team. We went in Phoenix and went on the road, went in Utah, went in Portland, so another arena for us. We just got to play our ball, Houston Rockets basketball, and win ball games.
All right, good effort, Sam. Congratulations. Okay. Marv?
All right, Hattie, yes, Sam Cassell scoring the last 7 points of the game for the Houston Rockets, who have defeated the New York Knicks 93-89, able to hold on for the victory. That about wraps it up. For Matt Gukas, Ahmad Rashad, Hannah Storm, Bob Costas, I'm Marv Albert. So long from Madison Square Garden in New York. Game number 4 coming up Wednesday night from the Garden, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Rockets lead the series 2-1. This has been the NBA on NBC.